Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Curtis Kaboom. Now, this year, yeah, that's juicy. Look at that. Now, this year, ugh, has been a year of tradition. Either new traditions like Kurt-Tober, where I review a new movie every single day in the month of October, or old traditions like carving a pumpkin. I honestly can't even remember the last time that I even touched a pumpkin to carve it. So I'm excited to try it again, and I'm gonna share with you what I come up with at the end of this video. But for now, my review is for October 27th, 2025, is for a movie called Carved. Carved is a 2024 horror movie that is exclusive to Hulu. You can probably predict that this is about a killer pumpkin. I love the idea of that, and I'm very surprised that nobody has ever done that before, at least that I know of. But this pumpkin is also fairly smart. So this is kind of a creature feature mixed with a slasher movie. This movie takes place in the distant past of 1993, in a small town that is trying to get back to a normal Halloween after a train derailment spilled chemicals all over the place, and two young teens who are trying to get a better life and move out of town aspire to move to New York and perform on Broadway. And of course the main girl has to take care of her little brother. And I'll be honest, at first I did not have very high hopes for the unknown actors in this movie. I thought I was going to be very annoyed by just about everyone. But as the movie went on, I found myself rooting for these characters to stay alive. I actually feel a connection. So I think that they did a pretty good job. But with how they act and how the general story is, this almost feels like a kid's movie. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a complaint, especially when yesterday's movie was specifically designed to be like a kid's movie. But where Psycho Goreman was trying to make fun of old school kids movies, this almost feels like it's trying to be like an episode of Goosebumps. Sure, a much more violent version of Goosebumps, and it has a lot of swearing and some drug use. And that's kind of the exact vibe I had when I was going into this. I still have nostalgia for waking up Saturday morning and watching creepy shows. And speaking of creepy, let's talk about the pumpkin. And this is another positive of the movie. I actually really like the design of the pumpkin. I like when it's walking around on four vines, and it looks very spider-like and creepy. And there was an especially fun scene in the movie where they're hiding inside of a barn, and the pumpkin's using its vines almost like the graboid's tongue from the original Tremors movie. And that always creeped me out as a kid. They even end up throwing walkie-talkies at it to try and distract it, just like you would a tremor. And the pumpkin looks great all around. Now, they do use some practical effects in this, which makes me happy, and those look the best. But when they are using CGI, you can definitely tell, and it's not exactly amazing. But I'm not gonna hold that against it. I mean, it made it look a little bit creepier when it was running around. Now let's talk about my favorite part, the kills. Because this pumpkin is pissed, because it was almost carved up in a pumpkin carving contest, and it had to watch its friends get carved up in that contest as well. Which means that this pumpkin has its own little hit list for everyone who is in the pumpkin carving contest, which includes the couple's little brother. But don't worry, it will still kill anybody that's in the way of it getting to somebody on that hit list. And they're a little bit hit or miss sometimes. And that's not saying that all the misses are bad. It's a lot of just, a vine going through somebody, which would still suck and be an effective way to kill somebody. But when this movie actually does pull out the stops and gets really creative with the kills, they're actually fantastic. And of course, throughout the whole movie, I was just expecting somebody to be carved up like a jack-o'-lantern at one point. I am happy to say that that did happen. Just not the way that I thought it would. I thought it would be like somebody's chest got carved eyes in the mouth, but no, it's a little bit different than that. I'm not going to spoil what they actually do, but it's just a little, nod to the whole jack-o'-lantern thing. But my favorite one, and this is a slight spoiler, is when the pumpkin actually uses a person exactly like a puppet using its vines. It got the point across that this pumpkin was smarter than you expected it to be, and it was actually a pretty creepy little effect. So, would I recommend the Hulu original movie, Carve? I actually really thought that this movie was a fun time. I thought that the characters were well done and acted well. I thought that the kills were creative at times. And I am completely in love with the idea of a killer pumpkin for a Halloween movie. So yes, I will be recommending this movie. But I will say that I think that you almost have to be in a certain kind of mood to watch this. This is not some elevated horror art piece. And I'm gonna be honest, it's not exactly scary. It almost feels like a kids movie that is R-rated. But I do think that this is one that you can have a lot of fun with, just getting together with some friends and watching it. Oh, and I have one more note here. What was it? Oh yes. Congratulations to Jesse and Drew on their first baby. I am so happy to welcome little Rocco to the world on this beautiful October 27th, 2025.